Hi, I'm Jeric.
Hi, I'm Lorna.
We're going on a journey to discover the legacy of the American Legion
and how that history of the Legion is shaping the vision for our future. The American Legion's founders were passionate about the concept of Americanism. In the early 20th century, when many U.S. residents were new immigrants from foreign countries, it became clear to the founders during World War I that many Americans not only needed to learn how to fight, but what they were fighting for. Many of the earliest troops did not speak English as a first language. Even more could not read or write at all, making it difficult to understand military regulations and follow orders.
Soon after the American Legion was formed in March 1919, the founding members were infuriated by so-called alien slackers who avoided wartime service because they never obtained U.S. citizenship, no matter how long they lived in the United States. Nearly 117,000 Americans had died in the war, while immigrants who did not become U.S. citizens disqualified themselves from service. U.S. citizenship and naturalization quickly rose to the top of the American Legion's agenda, and after the aftermath of Russia's Bolshevik Revolution, communist recruitment was soon in full swing across the United States, later to be followed by other opponents to democracy, even Nazis in the 1930s. To counteract these ideological threats, the American Legion began promoting and educating the nation about Americanism, in an effort to build and strengthen pride in our nation and what it stands for. On January 19, 1920, the newly formed American Legion Americanism Committee presented to Congress an agenda that offered citizenship and naturalization assistance for immigrants, a service the organization continues to perform in many locations today. Later that year, concerned over voter apathy in the country, the American Legion launched what would become its Get Out the Vote program. Local posts nationwide began promoting voter registration, nonpartisan candidate forums, and serving as polling stations to raise awareness about the importance of an engaged electorate. Then in 1921, the American Legion united with the National Education Association to address widespread illiteracy and to improve public school instruction in civics, history, U.S. government, and physical education. And in 1923 and 1924, the American Legion organized and conducted 2 national conferences that established the country's first official rules of respect for the U.S. flag.
68 organizations came to Washington, D.C. for the 1923 American Legion Flag Conference, appropriately held on June 14th, Flag Day. By the time Congress blessed the Legion Conference's rules of respect nearly 20 years later, most U.S. cities, counties, schools, and states had already adopted them.
The American Legion became the nation's most respected authority on the Stars and Stripes. Members taught students and the public how to respect and display the flag. Boy Scout units began joining American Legion post ceremonies to properly dispose of retired flags. In 1989, when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that intentional desecration of the U.S. flag is protected as free speech, the American Legion retaliated by forming the Citizens Flag Alliance to seek a constitutional amendment that would allow states to enforce flag protection laws. The battle to gain the necessary 2/3 supermajority from Congress has come as close as one Senate vote short on June 27, 2006. The American Legion, which had to wait 19 years for Congress to adopt its flag code in 1942, has vowed to keep fighting as long as it takes for the flag's protection through the constitutional amendment process. The American Legion Boys State program was launched in Illinois on June 23, 1935. Legionnaires Harold Card and Hayes Kennedy came up with the idea to offer high school seniors-to-be the opportunity to conduct a mock government, complete with committees, appointments, debates, and elections, just like in the American democracy. Boys State was established to counteract communist-affiliated Young Pioneers of America camps that had taken root across the United States between 1922 and 1934. In 1946, President Harry Truman greeted participants in the first American Legion Boys Forum of National Government, predecessor of the American Legion Boys Nation and American Legion Auxiliaries Girls Nation. Boys Nation would extend the program beyond community and state to nation. Since then, thousands of elected government officials and leaders, including President Bill Clinton, have learned the way the federal government operates through Boys Nation.
It is not very easy for the average teenager.
When the American Legion National Oratorical Contest was introduced in 1938, it would not simply judge high school students on their speaking skills, it would also test their knowledge and understanding of the U.S. Constitution. Like Boys State and Boys Nation, the Oratorical Contest imparted understanding of U.S. government and law to young people in every corner of the country. Future state governors, members of Congress, mayors, business leaders, athletes, and entertainers from basketball star Michael Jordan to CNN co-founder Lou Dobbs benefited from the American Legion Oratorical Competition, Boys State, or both.
Tomorrow. Keep it burning always. With God's help, this flame of freedom shall live eternally.
American Legion youth programs under Americanism have evolved in multiple ways through the years, typically starting at community post and growing to state and national status from there. The National American Legion Junior Shooting Sports Championships that began in 1991 at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado can be traced back to 1929, when national resolutions were passed authorizing the formation of marksmanship teams for all ages at post and departments. Within 1 year of that national authorization, the number of American Legion rifle clubs grew to 188 nationwide. Then and now, the program was built on sportsmanship, skill development, discipline, and gun safety. The American Legion has been a steadfast supporter of the men and women who enforce laws in communities, state, and the nation. In 1997, that support was expressed by the beginning of a National Law Enforcement Officer of the Year award. The American Legion's Junior Law Cadet program, to promote order, respect for law enforcement, and training for high school students, arose from local post and department programs through the decades. In 2011, the program came under the oversight of the National Americanism Commission, where it was renamed the Youth Cadet Law Enforcement Program, aimed to teach discipline, respect, and leadership skills to young people. Such wide-ranging programs have fit into the American Legion's definition of Americanism since 1919. And the very first youth program the American Legion supported by resolution came before there was an Americanism Committee or commission to oversee it. Boy Scouts of America. Passed on November 12, 1919, the resolution stated, "The American Legion heartily commends the principles and achievements of the Boy Scouts and recommends that each post assist the Scout troops in its community in whatever manner practicable."
Programs and initiatives may have changed over the years, but the American Legion's definition of Americanism has stayed true to its original meaning. It all comes back to an appreciation of U.S. citizenship, pride and active participation in the democracy veterans vowed with their lives to defend. The immigration and naturalization process is a part of it. So are respect for the U.S. flag, the right to vote, our nation's system of laws and those who enforce them. Included are youth programs that promote healthy competition, understanding of the Constitution, justice, freedom, and democracy. In the great melting pot of the United States, the American Legion has made a sacred duty of advancing the principles of Americanism ever since the organization's founders came home from war, knowing it takes something more than weapons and troops to strengthen a nation.